Trista Okel of Empower BodyCare, thank you so much for being with us on Hemp Barons today.
Oh, Joy, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
It is just so wonderful to be able to share with everybody. Of course, my sisterhood with you is something that I treasure so much. We have known each other for some years. We've traveled together, continuing to travel together. Our most recent trip in Atlanta for the USA CBD Expo that we both were able to present at. And what an incredible presentation you gave with your panelists. But you're such a hero, such a heroine on so many different levels, and have touched the cannabis movements and industries in so many different ways, but particularly when it comes to the hemp extract and CBD industry. Such an innovator, such an industry leader for ethics, for standards, for quality assurance, right from the get-go, as we were, and not that we aren't still at the outset of developing this industry, but in 2015, that was certainly the outset, and there you were really heralding the day with what quality assurance and safety and ethical manufacturing and selling and labeling meant when there were no rules at all from a state level. Of obviously, we've got the Code of Federal Regulations at a federal level for dietary supplements and for cosmetics. You specialize in cosmetics, and have made your way not only into multiple retail shelves, but all the way to Nordstrom, which I just think is so fantastic. And I'm really excited to share your story with our listeners and the various lessons that you've learned along the way as well. So let's start, if we could, Trista, with what brought you to the hemp industry. Tell us what you'd like to share about that incredible story.
Oh, thank you. And again, thank you for such a warm welcome. That was amazing. I sure appreciate you, sister. In 2004, a couple of things happened at the same time. One, my mom was diagnosed with 3 forms of arthritis and also fell and broke 2 vertebrae in her back. Doctors totally started prescribing her opiates and, wanting to go that route with her. I was an aromatherapist, so I knew the powers of the healing powers of essential oils and terpenes, and I wanted to combine those with cannabinoids in order to give mom a topical relief from what was causing her so much pain. Luckily, from even the very first iteration of what is now our Lux body oil, or the topical relief oil, mom went from an 8 to a 3 on the pain scale, and I continued to share that product with friends, family, elders, members of the community, and kept hearing the same stories over and over again. People were getting relief and were stopping taking opiates and basically living better lives as a result of the topical products that they were using. At the same time that happened, I actually went to trial for having 3 small cannabis plants. I had wanted to make my own, and I started growing them, but I didn't know how to grow them yet. And these plants were literally under a foot tall each. And they threw the book at me, and I took it all the way to trial. Now, I was privileged enough to have a family member, my mom, who decided to actually refinance her home so that I could go to trial, because trial is not inexpensive. So we went to trial. It was a 2.5-day trial, and at the end of the trial, a jury of my peers found me not guilty in 8.5 minutes. It was a pretty momentous event for me. It broke open my cannabis closet wide open, and I became an instant activist / advocate for therapeutic uses of cannabis, which obviously includes hemp. At that time, I decided that I was going to join forces with groups like Marijuana Policy Project and Americans for Safe Access, and I flew to Washington, D.C. and lobbied Congress. This was back when Montel Williams was lobbying Congress with us. At the same time, I participated in a direct action and sat down in front of Health and Human Services with Americans for Safe Access in order to draw attention to their lawsuit against the federal government for basically not rescheduling or descheduling cannabis from a Schedule I drug, which means that it has no therapeutic value. And me and 13 other activists sat down and had a banner across us with the names of thousands of doctors who had recommended cannabis use for their patients. over the years. And the whole point was to bring awareness to this lawsuit, and the Washington Post covered it. And we did go to jail for what's called incommoding. It means blocking a sidewalk or blocking an entrance into a building for about 6 hours. It was a $50 ticket, and the whole experience taught me a lot. The first thing that it taught me was that I wanted to do other things to help drive the movement and drive both federal legalization and also the destigmatizing of the cannabis plant in general, which means both hemp and marijuana. But at the same time, me and the other activists at that time in the jail cells started talking about polling and statistics and how to change the polls, because at that time women were polling at about a 30% approval rating of legalization of cannabis or even decriminalizing. And obviously we couldn't get to where we are today with those kinds of numbers. Now, what this experience taught me was, one, I didn't want to go to jail again, even if it was just for a few hours. Hats off to those who are able to do that, and I am not one of them. The other thing that I learned from that experience was that if we could destigmatize the plant and show folks that, especially women, that they could receive therapeutic benefits from hemp and marijuana, aka cannabis, that I would be able to change more hearts and minds that way than I would ever be able to do by sitting down in front of a building and blocking the doors. So I started working on products like the one that I made for my mom, soaking salts, lotions, creams, etc. And kept hearing the same stories over and over again. And in 2013, I launched the company. And in 2014, I launched into the hemp space. And it's been a wild and crazy ride ever since.
You have, so again, just been such a trailblazer since the beginning. Now let's talk about, you were not alone during that time with folks who were developing products, but yet you are still here, and you are here and well established and have just tremendous reach now with your hemp extract products, and those of course are your oils, creams, lotions, and then and the bath salts. Tell us a little bit about how this process started. I know that in the beginning, you had your black label and your white label, right? You have a whole successful line of products that are sold in adult use and medical cannabis dispensaries in the state of Oregon. And I'm not sure, have you licensed out such that you have those products in other licensed cannabis dispensaries in other states, or is it just in Oregon?
For right now, it's just Oregon. We're always looking for the right licensing partners. When those licensing partners show up, we will definitely be open to a conversation.
Explore those. Excellent. Absolutely. So that was sort of the black label, or the beautiful black packaging. And then, of course, you did the opposite, white label with black writing for the hemp extract products. And that is what we see. We've got the two collections right now with Empower Body Care, one being, of course, the Premier Collection, and the other being the Lux Collection. Tell us sort of the journey of how these collections came to be, and some of the lessons that you learned along the way.
Yeah, definitely. So with the cannabis collection, that, like you said, is only available in regulated cannabis dispensaries in the state of Oregon, we had so many people visiting friends and family from out of state that would write to our company or call our company and say, I love the product. It works so great for me. How can I get it where I live? And I would have to explain, or they would want to take it with them. And I would have to explain to them that it was not legal to do so, that they couldn't cross state lines with it. And that's kind of what drove me to start the hemp extract line, which, again, back in the day, we called black label and white label, which we haven't done for a while now, but...
And I know you continue to try to remind me of that, because I'm still stuck in those beginning days, sister.
Oh, honey, you were sitting around the dining room table with me when I was brainstorming new products back in the day. So, yeah, I get it. So that said, so we've got what you refer to as the white label, which we refer to internally as the Premier line.
That's its official name. I can tell by the website. That's its official name, the Premier Collection.
I mean, it was first.
Yes, Premier.
Right? So those products are available in, boutiques and natural health stores. So anything in the natural food channel, New Seasons markets, market of choice, those kinds of stores. Now, we also have what's called the Lux Collection, that is just an elevated amount of CBD or hemp extract in the product. A little bit different packaging with the rose gold. It's definitely a little bit more approachable for folks in Nordstrom, and Nordstrom is the reason why I launched that line. They wanted products that were not available in the natural food channel line, in natural grocery channel line. So that's how I launched the Lux line.
Now, getting a relationship with Nordstrom, getting on the shelves at Nordstrom, and of course your products are widely available at Nordstrom.com and your own website, empowerbodycare.com, but to get on the shelf or to get Nordstrom to even pay attention to you, could you share that experience and some of those lessons with our listeners and the entrepreneurs particularly who are listening?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we were fortunate enough to know that they were looking for products, and we had a mentor of mine who made an introduction, and that's how we were able to show our products to the buyers at Nordstrom, which was very fortunate, and we're very glad to be working with them. They're great to work with. Now, that said, not all big corporate accounts are great to work with, and we have worked with a number of others in the past as well. And many of them require things like free fill. So that means that you have to give them 2 to 4 units for free, and then they'll buy 2 in order to carry your products on the shelf. That said, some of these companies also require you to buy quarterly ads at $20,000 an ad. When you do a discount on products, anything you buy in a grocery store, for instance, that has a discount on it, the discount comes directly from the vendor. It does not come from the grocery store at all. Most people are not aware of this, that how difficult, how challenging, and how expensive it is for small businesses to be on the shelves, of large stores. It is definitely challenging, and I recommend that, especially in today's times, that folks do everything they can to grow their direct-to-consumer market. First and foremost, and to have that be robust and to make up at least 60, if not more, percent of their revenue.
Because if they are depending on these other relationships, it can obviously be cost prohibitive, number one, and also fatal when and if that store decides to stop carrying your product. I think a case in point is Costco, which of course is founded here in the state of Washington, where I live, about 20 miles away, not even. I think has had so much heartache over the years of these small businesses and even large businesses that have said, oh, I've got Costco. I mean, I don't need to sell to anybody else. I've got Costco. And then when Costco drops them like a bad habit out of a clear blue sky, which they're certainly entitled to do, the companies go under. And so I believe that now it's a requirement. Costco isn't even going to consider you unless you have at least 60% of your businesses with these other channels for similar reason or analogous reason of what you just discussed. Security, essentially, in your revenue generation and in your distribution.
Yeah, it's vital to have that be coming from many different places, for the revenue streams to come from many different places.
Yeah. So these larger corporate, your experience with some of these other corporate retailers we're all learning here that it is the seller, it's the manufacturer actually, or the distributor, the brand that is picking up the tab for any coupons or discounts. Also required, some of these, it doesn't sound like it's a request to place an ad. It is a requirement to place an ad with certain of these retailers. Is that the case?
That is the case. And in addition to that, many of the retailers will charge what I continue to call even in the CBD world, I continue to call the cannabis tax. So, for instance, one natural grocery or grocery store chain that we were in required us to place an ad. The ad was $14,000. It was, 2 inches by 1 inch, and very, very small. And I have a colleague who is the CEO of a condiment business. Now, they were also required to place an ad that size. Their ad cost $5,000. Our ad cost $14,000. So, that tax, that fee for being involved with the hemp plant or a cannabis plant in general is constantly there and levied by not just the government in many cases, but also by large corporations.
Just wow. And how about if you wanted a certain placement or an end cap or something of that nature? Are additional charges, generally speaking, assessed?
Yes, those charges are huge. Those charges are so large that my small company doesn't even know how much they cost.
It's like that's not in the realm of reality for us, so let's not even bother having that conversation is what happens. So, but meanwhile, you have been bootstrapping, and I don't know what else, and I actually am not aware of the facts or what you might even be comfortable to share on. We're talking about a small business that started with an acquittal.
Yes, it started with an acquittal. A smile, and not very much money.
Yeah. And yet you have been able to bootstrap it and make your way into those natural grocers and into Nordstrom and on Nordstrom.com. Any advice on, I guess it would really boil down to just budget spending lessons or hard rules that you have for yourself in terms of being able to get to where you are right now without, and you still have the majority ownership of your company.
I do still have the majority ownership of my company. Yeah, so for smaller companies that want to grow and want to build their companies a little bit by little bit because maybe they don't have investors or don't have access to high net worth individuals to even consider investing in them, I definitely recommend starting small and growing from there. So it started for me with Guerrilla Marketing. And from there, we have taken it to obviously not a lot on social because social media ads get taken down on a regular basis. But there's other places you can advertise. You can advertise with programmatic ads. You can advertise on Google. It definitely is possible, and I'd highly recommend folks really focus on that. But also word of mouth. If you make a great product and folks love it and they really rely on it, they will tell their friends and family about it. And then they will tell their friends and family about it. And it continues to grow that way. And that's really how we've grown in power. We've always been kind of the people, for the people. And our goal has been to empower as many people as we possibly can to live their best lives and to enhance their wellness routines. And with our products, they can do that. But the bottom line for me is that when people love your products, they will tell others. And that's how you can grow a company while bootstrapping, so to speak.
Word of mouth, absolutely everything. And you have to make great products in order to generate, of course, that word of mouth. The products have to be of good quality. Yours, of course, are of superior quality. They need to be effective. They need to be at a right price point in order to generate that. And man, did you hit all of those marks basically right out of the gate.
I mean, I've always been a stickler for quality. I've always been a stickler for third-party lab testing. And also the sourcing is super important. So, for instance, I try to source from small family-owned farms that use organic methods in their growing, right? That's really important to me, especially because the hemp plant, as you know, is a bioremediator. So we want to make sure that whatever we're putting into our products is completely clean and as organic as possible. And all of our products are about 85% organic, but all completely natural. And the one thing that I think a lot of folks don't talk about is how important the testing is. So I was recently talking with a colleague, and the colleague said something to the effect of, they were putting third-party lab tested on, and they were putting triple lab tested, on their products. And so triple lab tested to me means that they take 3 samples from every batch, and they test all 3 samples. right? What triple lab testing meant to this colleague and apparently to their attorney is that the hemp was tested in the field, and then the hemp extract was tested, and then one sample of the final product of the finished good was tested. That's what triple lab tested meant to them.
Wow. I am doing a lot of patting on heads. It's always disappointing when, you've got an attorney coming in with that kind of not just a unsophisticated or just total lack of command of good manufacturing practices as it relates to, whether it's dietary supplements or cosmetics, drugs or food. It doesn't matter. It's either being ingested orally or it's being ingested through the skin. Also, I guess my other reaction to that is in terms of a cautionary tale is, folks, you need the right tool for the job. So if you're taking your company public, you're going to want an attorney who specializes in IPOs and securities. If you are having issues with, your employees, you are going to want to hire a attorney who specializes in labor and employment law. If you are making cosmetics or dietary supplements, you want a attorney who specializes in FDA law, food and drug law. Do not go to your criminal defense attorney and ask them what triple lab tested means, because they won't know.
Right. And it does sound like my colleague went to say a business attorney or a corporate attorney and asked the corporate attorney.
And I did, as many folks know, I was raised by an attorney. He raised me by himself, no brothers, no sisters, no mother. At the time, my father raised me by himself, and I've worked in law as a dual career most of my entire life. And so it's including a little bit of that in legal malpractice insurance defense, just a nightmare of an area of law that I don't recommend to anybody. But boy, it's always disappointing when attorneys themselves, I don't know whether it's because of maybe a narcissistic belief that they understand the subject matter, or that it's your basic, I just want to bill my client, so I'm going to tell them that I can sufficiently advise them in these subject matter areas. But it is always disappointing when attorneys dip their toe into areas of law that really require a specialization. And certainly, cannabis alone is its own, whether it's hemp or other forms of cannabis. There are just absolute massive bodies and other areas of law that intersect with it, and huge history, state and federal, that all needs to be taken into account. The same with hemp. But if you're making a product in the United States of America, or frankly other developed or even remotely developed company, that a human being or an animal is going to put in their mouth or on their skin, that's some serious business right there. So it is fascinating. So let's talk then a little bit about your Empower BodyCare's testing protocols or various aspects of your quality control program that you'd like for consumers to know.
Of course, yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, I want to announce something that just happened this month. Yeah, so Healthline named us the 2021 Best Topical Company.
Whoa!
CBD topical company.
Whoa! Congratulations! And that's major kudos and recognition. Doesn't surprise me a bit. Just fantastic. Congratulations to you. The best topical for 2021.
Yes, yeah. And the reason is because of our transparency, our dedication to testing, the efficacy and safety of our products, and, basically they work. So that was pretty exciting. And I really loved seeing in the article that they noticed that we third-party lab test, and that we test for all the things that we test for, and that was important to them, and that our certificates of analysis are easy to get to on our website. You don't have to have so for a lot of companies, they're a little bit cagey about it. For instance, you'll have to have the batch number in order to see a certificate of analysis from the third-party lab. And on ours, you can actually go to that section of our website and see all of our certificates of analysis over the last number of years. and get to look at, what the lab has to say about our products. Now, that said, we test for a number of different things. We're taking at least 2 samples from every batch, so we can make sure that the product is homogeneous. So they're testing to make sure that we do have a homogeneous product regarding potency. We're testing for heavy metals. We're testing for pesticides, residual solvents, and we're testing for microbiological activity, which is yeast, mold, mildew, bacteria, E. coli, pretty much all the things that you don't want to see in a product that you're going to put on your skin. And the reason that we're testing to that level is, one, to ensure our customers that they can get a product that is clean and where they know that we care about the quality of the product. We're also testing just because I think it's important for our industry to be testing to those levels, and to be testing for those things in all of in all products that are on the market right now.
Want to grow your cannabis business? Curious about this booming new industry? Don't miss NCIA's 7th Annual Cannabis Business Summit and Expo, the industry's most influential national trade show. Join us December 15th through 17th, 2021 at Moscone Center in San Francisco for the only cannabis industry event with over 125 top presenters, 80-plus business building education sessions, and hundreds of exhibitors all under one roof. Discover next year's best-selling cannabis brands and learn from the best in the business at #CannabisSummit this December 15th through 17th in San Francisco. Tickets at CannabisBusinessSummit.com. That's CannabisBusinessSummit.com. You must be 21 or over to attend. And most states that have a sophisticated, regulatory framework in the absence of the FDA doing its job is that they are, of course, creating all of those same testing standards: heavy metals, residual solvents, mycotoxins, and purity, all of those things. But of course, you've been doing that voluntarily from the outset, knowing that that is what folks need for quality assurance. What are some of the products that you find to be the most popular?
Everyone loves a good soak. Everybody loves the soaking salts, for sure.
Absolutely. I just remember it 10 Ways from Sunday, how popular. And I didn't realize, I think you were one of the very first, if not the first. It's always a dangerous word to use in these reemerging industries, but I hadn't even thought. Now, bear in mind, listeners, we're going back now 6 or 7 years, about CBD and bath salts. And there you were creating them. And I just thought it was just this wild concept. But it's amazing how much folks were loving them. And you basically, in the beginning, couldn't keep them on the shelves.
Yeah, definitely. We were by far the first well-branded CBD topical company to come out with soaking salts, as far as I know. That said, yeah, they're very difficult to keep on the shelves, and people love them. We still receive to this day a ton of testimonials on a regular basis from people who are not just using the salts but using the other products and really benefiting from them. But the soaking salts, they are so good for so many things. I mean, it's a great detox. It's great for some me time and relaxation. They're great if you're having aches and pains, and really the soaking salts will hit the aches and pains from so many different levels, from the magnesium and the salts to the hot water in the bath, to, of course, the CBD and the essential oils, also very helpful.
And for skin conditioning alone, I mean, all of those things just and you use, is it just in the Lux line, or is it also in the Premier collection that the salts that you're using are in addition, of course, to the beautiful skin conditioning, etc., hemp extract, and high strength CBD, but Epsom salts, Dead Sea, and pink Himalayan salts? You use all of those in that combination. Is that right?
Yes. So actually, that combination of different salts is in both the Premier Collection soaking salts as well as the Lux Collection soaking salts.
Such a rich, and it's just such a rich formula. Really just so fantastic. Also, take us through, and I've really been learning a lot about the differences. We've got ointments, we've got salves, we've got creams, lotions, jellies. You at Empower Body Care sell a lotion and a cream. Can you explain to and in oils, of course, all for topical application. Explain the difference. Why would somebody want a cream versus a lotion versus an
So
oil?
lots of people are adverse to the idea of an oil, regardless of how well the oil absorbs. Now, my oil, I use organic jojoba oil as a base in it and is the main carrier oil. Now, I love working with organic jojoba oil. As a matter of fact, it's in all of my products, all of my topical products. And the reason being is because jojoba oil is the most like our own skin sebum or skin oil. So when you apply jojoba oil to your skin, it absorbs faster and it penetrates more deeply. So it gets down further into the dermis than any other plant-based oil. Now, I only make plant-based products. I don't make products with animal byproducts in them. So it really works well as far as any other carrier oil goes. That's why I'm in love with jojoba oil. Everyone should be. And you can find it in the Southwest. It grows wild in the Southwest part of the United States, in case people did not know that. Now, the differences between lotions and creams and oils, lots of people will, like I said, will prefer a lotion. Now, I tend to prefer the oils personally. And the reason I do is because of that organic jojoba oil. It's going to absorb faster into the skin, and it's going to be less sitting on top of the skin and more absorbing in. Anytime you include a product that has water in it, which is any lotion or cream, or most lotions and creams, you're going to find that those will sit on top of the skin just a little bit more than any sort of oil will. However, people love their lotions and they love their creams, which is why I released those products as well, because I am a people pleaser.
You want everybody to be able to enjoy your products and with the medium, I suppose, that they love the most on their skin.
Indeed. And I don't make salves or any of those kinds of products right now. And the reason I don't is because they often have a wax in them. And the wax ensures that they will definitely sit on top of the skin. So again, we're trying to get the penetration as deep as possible, and we're trying to get that the products to absorb quickly and have a really nice user experience. And in order to get that user experience, that's why I don't actually make the salves and such.
You want to get it in there, get it into those layers of the dermis.
Yes. And what a lot of folks don't know is that front loading, what I call front loading, or applying a small amount and rubbing it all the way in multiple times in the beginning of using any sort of CBD product is super important, and will actually give the user longer lasting and better results, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. And I often tell folks when I'm turning them on to any of these products, I usually look at the very container that is dispensing the product, and I decide whether that's something that can be used as a massage tool and say, hey, put it on, use the container itself to massage it in a bit, wait a couple of minutes, and then throw another layer on there if you really want to do yourself a solid. Yeah, as it were, absolutely. Now, you have also gift sets, Empower Body Care gift sets, in addition to just the individual products. Is that right?
That is. We have gift sets in all of the different lotion sets. And with that comes a 4-ounce soaking salt and a 0.5 milliliter sample of the oil, which will allow someone to use that maybe 2 or 3 times, depending on the amount of surface area they want to cover with it. But a little bit goes a really long way with the oil, so it should cover an area a number of times.
And some lotion, it looks like, is also in your gift sets.
Yes, a full-size lotion.
Full-size lotion. And tell me if you have scents in addition to these. It looks like you've got a cedarwood bergamot, peppermint and juniper, which I love. I love them all, but I'm such a juniper. Anything having to do with the whole
right
pinene, terpene, I guess is what we would say, the whole evergreen family. And you have lavender and bergamot and lemon verbena. Those are the four scents that your products can be purchased in. Is that correct?
Yes, the lemon verbena, peppermint juniper, cedarwood bergamot, and lavender bergamot.
Just such great selection there. And in so many ways, unisex. I mean, there's nothing here that says feminine versus masculine or any gender or identity in between.
Exactly. Yes, I really love that about the scents, and I think that's where my aromatherapy background comes in a little bit. I am picking the essential oils. I pick all of my essential oils for their therapeutic benefits, but I also want to have a great user experience, and I want the person to get some sort of aromatherapy from using the product. As a matter of fact, I was in Nordstrom and I was training some of their team members on the floor, and men and women alike were loving all of the scents, and they weren't, like none of them are too gender specific. They're all fairly gender neutral, and they also all are pretty refreshing.
Totally. Absolutely love it. Are there any new products coming out that you are able to share with the listeners, or something so exciting that you got to keep it under wraps right now?
Oh, I do have a number of really exciting products I have to keep under wraps, but I can share one product that I'm launching very soon, and so we are launching a 9,000 milligram 60 ml or 2-ounce bottle of CBD oil.
So, for ingesting.
For ingesting, it is new to us on a number of different levels. One, it's my first ingestible product that I've launched, and I've put a lot of care into and a lot of research and time developing the product. And in addition to that, it is also full spectrum. It's my first full spectrum product, which I'm very excited about. So a lot of folks don't know that studies show that CBD topically works great on its own. However, when you take it internally, it does help to have a small amount of THC in the product. Basically, I like to tell people the simplified version, which is to make it work better.
Well, it's the entourage effect. We're saying, it's a whole plant effect where instead of, pharmaceutically sort of bastardizing the plant, and I don't mean to say that in a negative way, because certainly isolates, which are more of a pharmaceutical grade, have, a tremendous medical value, and as research has shown, do work great when topically applied. But, when we are eating, we want to consume nature. We don't want to consume that pharmaceutical, isolated, highly refined version of nature. And so, indeed, the entourage effect, a synergistic effect. The plant's compounds work better together than they do when they're separated chemically.
Indeed. And which is why, when taken internally, that's what I recommend and what I always strive to make, actually.
So, wow, this is a big deal. This is the first dietary supplement product that Empower BodyCare is making, and you're going for it. You are not fooling around. 9,000 milligrams of CBD. Now, is that 9,000 milligrams of hemp extract, or will there be 9,000 milligrams of CBD?
There will be 9,000 milligrams of CBD.
Wow, excellent. Okay, a full spectrum hemp extract, and of that, the 9,000 milligrams of CBD. This is major, and of course, for someone like me who takes an average of around 120 milligrams of CBD a day, I see products out there that have, 100 milligrams of CBD in the bottle. Well, that's not helpful to me, because that means I need to take, up 1.5 bottles or 1.20. I need to take a bottle and a fifth a day, and so that doesn't work for me. So incredible. And what gave you the idea to move into this product? Is it just because people were begging you to do something? They love your topicals so much they want you to do an ingestible as well?
Oh, that's been happening for years, but actually no, it was actually my need for a product that drove me to make this product. I need to take around 250 milligrams of CBD per day, and I was buying tinctures and I was going through the bottles very quickly, and I could see the waste building up right? Like, I don't like to create garbage, and I was creating garbage.
Bottle after bottle after bottle, and carton after carton after
Yes,
carton. Yes.
all day long. It was, I mean, not all day long, but you know what I mean. It was it was challenging, and it made me feel bad. And I wanted to, one, I wanted to have a product that it's going to be a good value. And two, I wanted a product that, didn't feel wasteful in using it. So, for instance, the person that wants to use, a few drops a day, because 9,000 milligrams, that's about 7.5 milligrams per drop, right? So if they want to use, say, 50 milligrams a day, they can count out their drops and do it that way. Or someone like me, I can take 1.5, roughly, a little bit less than 1.5 droppers full and get the amount that I'm looking for without, feeling really wasteful with, using up a whole entire bottle or half a bottle.
It sure does. Are you kidding me? It's outstanding. It's perfect. And I, have thus far been getting by I have obviously I know a lot of people in the hemp extract business, and so I use soft gels from a particular colleague of mine that are very high strength soft gels, because I mean even just consuming the liquid, etc. So what a gift that you're putting this product out on the market, so that folks who are also concerned with their carbon footprint, and also just concerned, just having to repurchase something over and over again is, like our time is worth more than that. So what a great first dietary supplement and strategic dietary supplement product to be putting out there. And I love the fact that well, actually what inspired me to do it was my own need.
Right.
So fantastic. Well, I can't help but thank you for just, again, the incredible example that you lead, and you do it with such grace and diplomacy. I know that I've seen you present before on panels, and generally, unless it's in one of these fancy pants conferences where, it's all industry leaders like you, we end up, of course, many times in these educational shows and trade shows with folks who are not as sophisticated, but that are learning and teaching and have a great message to share with the audience. And I witness you on those panels with those folks just being so gracious when oftentimes non-compliant language or advice that, totally, with all due respect, just as bad advice, and in some cases even unlawful advice, and all with good intentions, and with these folks unfortunately not even realizing that they're sitting there on stage as a speaker, giving advice that is against the law, which is not their intent at all. It's just a manifestation of a lack of awareness, or I guess ignorance, for lack of a more descriptive term. And then for you to sort of, with a smile, ever so graciously inform the audience of the correct information, but doing it in a way that doesn't make anybody feel self-conscious or though they've said anything wrong. But like me, you want to make sure that the audience and that the listeners are getting the most accurate and compliant information that they can, especially when they're at a conference and wanting to listen. So I wanted to make sure that I just thank you for that, and that I shared that sort of reflection. Trista, you are just so golden in so many different ways and areas as these emerging industries take root and reestablish themselves. And I just can't thank you enough for the role that you play in all of that, sister.
Oh, Joy. It's such an honor, and we have to do that. I wouldn't know how to do it any other way.
Amen. No, you would not, Trista, because that is who you are. Well, I can't wait to have you back on Hemp Barons again. And until that time, I'm wishing you every success. And listeners, you can find out how to reach Trista and how to get to Trista's Empower Body Care products at PodConX.com. That's www.podconx.com. We will have all of Trista's links there. And please go check out Empower Body Care. You're going to love every single product that is available on that website. Trista, have a wonderful holiday season, sister, and thank you for being with us on Hemp Barons today.
Thanks so much, Joy. It was such a pleasure.
Hanu Labs Inc., a minority-owned cannabis technology company, is seeking investors interested in advancing the cannabis vaporization experience. Hanu Labs has been disrupting the market with highly awarded tabletop devices and patented heating technology since early 2009, with new innovations on the horizon. For more information, contact Ricardo Willis, CEO of Hanu Labs, directly at ricardo@hanulabs.com. That's RICARDO at HANULABS.com. Ricardo@hanulabs.com.